what type of book marketing do you feel is the most profitable, whether that is like paid advertising or free advertising?
I'd say the number one thing is your email newsletter. You want to be building that over time. So any marketing you do really has an eye toward building your fan base. And the best way to communicate with your fans is through your email newsletter. It's something that you own. So you can't have that taken away from you. It's something that will be around in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, and it will largely be the same. There will be technical differences, but I would say that those have been minor in the evolution of email. It's pretty similar sending an email in 1995 to 2021, and I would assume that's going to be pretty similar in 2030, 2040. Every service that you sign up for, whether it's Facebook or Instagram or anything else, requires that you have an email that you put in so that they can contact you. So those services are not a replacement for email. Sometimes you hear about this latest social media platform or whatever is going to kill email. That's never happened because they all require email as that hub. So I would say whatever you're doing, really think how you can build that list. And certainly you can use things like Facebook groups, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, whatever social stuff you're using. TikTok is really exploding now. But think how you can capture that audience long term and engage with them long term, where you control the interaction, because all those algorithms change. Right now, TikTok is really popular, and I think people build what they think are businesses on top of that, but then they're really just building them on top of an algorithm and a tactic, and that's not a long-term business. So the goal isn't to be successful in the next 3 months or 6 months. If you are successful and do that, that's great, but it's really about if you want to be a full-time author or part-time author and write, presumably you want to do so for 5 years, 10 years, 30 years, 40 years. So email is the longest term bet there, and you want to use those other platforms and any marketing that you do to hopefully build that. So that would be my number one thing to focus on marketing wise. And as for paid versus free advertising, paid ads give you scale that you can't necessarily get with most free advertising options. You can spend a lot of money on something like Amazon ads, where you're spending $5 a day, or you can spend $500 a day, $750 a day, $1,000 a day. And that just gives you the opportunity to reach a lot more people than most free options, but it's not necessarily going to be a good fit for a lot of people because the ads require tracking, they require analysis, they require certain skills that no one has at the beginning. You can develop them, but a lot of people get tripped up with the mindset of the paid ads, where it's very difficult for them to scale them to that degree. And it can be very uncomfortable to push beyond certain money blocks and certain technical blocks. And I think that those are surmountable, but you also have to know yourself, where some people just aren't comfortable with spending a ton of money there or much at all, or don't want to do that. So there are alternatives, and it's not necessarily the best option for everyone, and certainly not a great option if you're just starting out and don't have a ton of money to spend. You don't want to be racking up these huge advertising bills on these platforms, because at the beginning it's like tuition, where you're paying for the ads, but you're probably not getting a ton in return sales wise, because you need to learn what works and what doesn't, and there's no shortcutting that process.